Hey, I'm Ron Drotos from keyboardimprov.com, and today I'd like to talk about how to improvise. How to sit down at this instrument and just let your hands do things. Make up melodies, play chords, play whatever style you like, jazz or rock or whatever it is. How do you do that? Somebody asked me this via email, so I thought I'd make the video. And the fact of the matter is that piano improvisation is very, very easy. It is so easy that a 3-year-old can do it. But there is a barrier to entry, and that's why so many people don't learn. As a matter of fact, I would say from my experience that probably only 10% of the people who want to learn how to improvise actually really learn how to do it fluently. And I've been so fortunate to work with so many people who have learned, because all you need is someone to just kind of show you or open the door for you. Because the barrier to entry, so to speak, is in your own mind. Because, like I said before, everybody, squeaky bench, everybody can do this as a kid. Little kids sit down and they go, and they improvise, and a lot of times it sounds pretty good, right? They sort of maybe make some sounds, and if they do it enough, they figure out, okay, well, oh, that sounds good, so I'll just keep doing stuff like that. Or they might find a chord in the left hand and they just keep playing that while they improvise in the right hand. I've seen this a lot. Even little kids, like I said, maybe 3, 4, 5 years old, they can find something and then they come back to it, if they come back to it. It's very, very easy. And the key is to ask yourself, how do I learn language? And if you can answer that and relate it to piano improv, you've got the answer already at every step of the way. It's about how we learn language. So the first thing you need to do is you just pick a scale, like C major. And like I said, the barrier is in our own mind. And the barrier is that it doesn't feel comfortable. It's not that it doesn't sound good, because guaranteed, if I said play 3 notes that are near each other using the white notes, you might play this. And it would sound just as good as Mozart, just as good as Charlie Parker, or anybody who played 3 notes in consecutive in a scale. But it doesn't feel comfortable to you yet. It doesn't feel like, quote, I know what I'm doing, and I can do that again, or I can play a million songs with it, or whatever. And that's the barrier, because it's like language. At first, you're just sort of saying, like if I was to learn French, which I've tried. I'm not great at French, right? I've been to France, I love the country, love the people, but I try to pronounce these words, je voudrais, and it just doesn't come out right, and I don't feel like I know the language, although I know it well enough, to say a few words and to communicate something. If I'm in a store, sort of point to something and je voudrais, whatever, a croissant or something. But I don't feel comfortable with it because I haven't done it enough. And that's really what it is. But if you're in that store and you're in France and you know a few words, it's not going to stop you. But somehow with the piano, it stops us. We play something great, and we say, oh, I'm never going to do that again because it didn't sound good. But it did sound good. You just need to do it more. And I just had proof of this because I grew up playing some sports like baseball or soccer, and those feel very comfortable. But I was playing lacrosse with somebody, and I've never used that stick and tried to catch the ball with the stick, and it felt so weird. Like, and then after a while, like maybe, the second day I played, it was about 2 or 3 hours of playing, it actually just started clicking, and catching the ball, wow, all of a sudden, and it felt so weird at first. And so piano improv's like that. You just got to stick with it until it feels comfortable. So here are about 4 or 5 steps that you can do, and this is a long-term project, but I want to outline what you can do. You just pick a scale, and we're going to start with C because it's the easiest, or just white notes. You don't even have to think of it as C, just white notes. You can use the pedal, and you just start making up little melodies and try to follow it in your ear. And if you do that, you know it as well as I do. It's not like, I can play that so much better than you can. You know, probably after like 10 minutes, you're going to be playing stuff like that. If you give yourself permission to do it and just erase that barrier of, okay, I'm going to back away because it doesn't feel comfortable, right? Now, at the same time, because of my experience, I'm sort of seeing, you know, implications of the chords under that and all that, but forget that. Just play the melody at first and just get used to doing that. And then what comes next? Maybe upside down. Hum along like I'm doing. It gets you away from your brain thinking, is this good enough or does it feel comfortable? And you just go into the sound. So, and you can do it with the left hand too. And then once you become comfortable with a few different scales, like D or E flat or B flat or something, you know, you can start adding some chords, and that's where the style comes into it. Like there's certain chord progressions that pop music uses or jazz uses. So then you start getting to know, you know, okay, well I've got this, maybe a C chord in my left hand, and okay, everything's going well. And then one day you play a note that doesn't sound great. And you're like, oh, that doesn't feel comfortable, I'll never improvise again, right? Well, you got to get over that, because you can play that note, and then if it doesn't sound great, happens to me, happens to everybody, happened to Charlie Parker, you just then go to the next note. See? And then it sounds natural. It sounds like a tension resolution. See, it's sort of like you're speaking to somebody, and you just say a word that you didn't mean to say, or, you know, it doesn't make sense for a minute, and then you just go on. You learn how to adjust. Remember I said before, it's that question about language. If you can see how to handle it in language, you're telling a joke and you say something that doesn't really fit the joke, you forget it, and then you say, oh no, I meant it's three guys, right, or whatever. You just move on, you recover. Same thing with music. Dissonance, and then you learn how to do that. And then you can gradually apply that, sort of the melody and the chords to different patterns. Well, I know this chord progression. Just two notes. Nothing fancy, right? Then after you do that, you say, oh, well, I like pop music, so I'm going to go. Or maybe it's with a jazzier beat, and you learn some seventh chords. It's the same thing, but with just the rhythmic feel of jazz. It's the same thing we were doing before. And I actually played a couple of notes that I didn't mean there, but I recovered. And even the fanciest chord progressions are just because I know that chord and I outline the chord. Just like you'd outline a C chord. So again, to learn how to improvise, the biggest barrier to entry is just the what we tell ourselves about it doesn't feel comfortable or I can't do this. You absolutely can, because every kid I've ever taught can do this, but you have to start with the flow and then gradually add the different techniques. People start with the techniques first, and they don't have the flow and they never get there. So have fun, just start improvising using scales with your right hand out of tempo, and then pick your style and start learning the different techniques of that. And go slowly, have fun every step of the way. Here's a little blues in a hard key, D flat. That took me a long time to learn because it wasn't as easy as C, but I didn't let it stop me. I just wanted to play in D flat, so I did what I showed you. I just learned how to improvise in D flat simply. Now I can do it in tempo. And if I can do it, you can do it. Good luck.